Good morning and welcome to Warrior Wisdom Wednesday. That's what we're going to talk about a little bit on Coffee with Alan this morning. Got a Yoda cup here, having a Jedi warrior. Thought that was appropriate for Warrior Wisdom Wednesday. Going to be sharing some stuff from Sammy Franco's book, Warrior Wisdom. And I'm not going to read selected ones I'm just going to open it up and see what passages I come to, and we'll read those and discuss them, have a little bit of fun, learn a little bit, and help us on our path. Because when you discover the warrior's edge, living like a warrior doesn't mean you have to be in the military or a martial artist, even though those help. But when you discover your warrior's edge, you live a life with honor, discipline, dedication, some of the things that we'll find in this Warrior Wisdom book. Good morning, Jay. Good morning, Vicki. Appreciate you guys being here. So let's dive right in. If an enemy were firing down this street and you had to take a message across to a house on the other side, would you do it? I am sure you would, although you probably wouldn't much like doing it. Robert Baden-Powell. And that's that dedication and determination. We do what we have to do, even if we don't like it, right? Many men feel that they should act according to the time or the moment they are facing, and thus are in confusion when something goes beyond this and some difficulty arises. Think about that. We always have to be able to adapt and go ahead, not just what's in the moment, but what's coming up. Some good little strategy there. Whoever can surprise well must conquer. Admiral John Paul Jones. Surprise being an excellent element of offensive tactics. I wrote that article in Black Belt Magazine not long ago, maybe a year, and I talked about joint locks. And one of the keys to effectively applying joint locks in real situations, surprise. If that person knows what you're going to do, they're going to be able to defeat the technique. But when you have surprise and then accuracy of technique, doing the technique correctly, and then speed, getting it locked on and performed quickly, those three elements will make joint locks work when you need them to. I've done them. Other people have done them. They do work, but you need those three elements to make them most effective. And so Admiral John Paul Jones's quote here, whoever can surprise well must conquer. The flip side of that, if you don't want to be conquered, don't be surprised. And that's why situational awareness is so important. It can help us notice things before we're surprised. And that allows us a chance to take action, whether that's escaping to safety or preparing to defend ourselves, whatever it is. The situational awareness and the advanced notice, preventing the surprise, that helps us in those situations. So we look at surprise. We don't want to be surprised, but we want to surprise others. Great quote about strategy, tactics, and the elements of surprise by Admiral John Paul Jones. Here's one by Robert E. Lee that goes sort of in the same vein. I was too weak to defend, so I attacked. I was too weak to defend, so I attacked. And that goes with my attack back philosophy that I wrote about in Survive a Shooting. Sometimes you must attack back. You have to attack. If you're always defending, you're getting tired, you're not winning. At some point, you need to go on the offensive to stop the aggressor, stop the situation and the violence. Defending, while it may protect you, it's wearing you out, and you can only defend so long. And as Robert E. Lee said, he was too weak to defend. He attacked. So sometimes we have to do that. And that's why in the active shooter triangle, attack back is one of the three options you have. So remember that one. That's a good little quote. What else do we have? Marcus Aurelius, always like him. If you haven't read Meditations by him, you ought to put that on your reading list. Adorn thyself with simplicity and modesty. Now that sort of goes to what I was talking about earlier, living with the warrior's edge. If we live with simplicity and modesty, that can make us more powerful. We don't have to be showboats and this or that. And some martial artists, they forget that when they get a certain rank. But we want to be modest. We want to be simple. Those can be very powerful. Another one by Marcus Aurelius here on the same page. Nature has fixed bounds to eating and drinking, and yet thou goest beyond these bounds, beyond what is sufficient. So thou lovest not thyself, for if thou didst, thou would love thy nature and her will. Wow, and that's pretty powerful too, and also living with the warrior's edge. You know, he's talking about, going beyond the bounds of eating and drinking that are nature sets for us. And we see that the gluttony that abounds, and especially in America, that has produced obesity rates that are higher than ever before, and mortality rates. You pick up any book on health in medical journals, and you will see the leading causes of death in this country are caused by ourselves eating and drinking. So Marcus's point right there is we need to eat to sustain ourselves. We need to eat to enjoy. I mean, I'm not going to stop having burgers, but we need to have moderation and not go into excess. Pretty good quote. And I'm going to read one more on this page because it's from the Hagakure, which if you haven't read that, that is a great, excellent text from Japan. It is a difficult thing to truly know your own limits and points of weakness. That was sort of goes with yesterday when I told people to stop and think about themselves and who they really are. One of the things when we're determining who we really are is looking at our limits and our weaknesses and our faults and understanding those. We all have them. And when we look at them and understand them, then we can finally act to do something about them and improve. Faylene says, eat to live, not live to eat. Yep, that's a good motto. And it's okay to go out and enjoy food, wonderful tasting food, whether it's a burger or a steak or a vegetarian meal, something you enjoy. But we want to do it in moderation that is healthy and not in excess that puts us in a place where we have physical health problems and medical problems because of that. And it is definitely proven that what we eat and how we exercise and so forth affects our health and our longevity for living. Great book if you want to check that out is Outlive by Peter Attia. I talked about that on one of these shows. You can go back and find that at the blog site or the podcast. But what we eat, very important. How we exercise, very important. And that's part of the warrior's edge that I talk about and try to live by. Something else. Here's one by Napoleon. The more I study the world, the more I am convinced of the inability of brute force to create anything durable. Wow. Isn't that something to think about? Brute force is not able to create anything durable. And don't we see that with countries still at war? And we have countries at war right now and innocent people being killed. And does the brute force ever resolve anything that's durable? I mean, sure, it does things temporarily, but does it make durable, long-lasting change? Not necessarily, according to Napoleon. And I think we have a lot of examples in the world and throughout history that would align with that. Humility must always be the portion of any man who receives a claim earned in the blood of his followers and the sacrifices of his friends. That was Dwight D. Eisenhower, someone that should know a little bit about that. And you notice humility comes back into a warrior and warriorship. When we learn to hurt others, when we learn to kill others, when others have been killed, like he says, and sacrificed because they were following him, we need to have humility. And pretty good quote by Dwight. Nothing by Sun Tzu. No, oh, I'm sure there is in here, but okay, got this page just for you, Dixon. Dixon wanting something from Sun Tzu. The consummate leader cultivates the moral law and strictly adheres to method and discipline. Thus, it is in his power to control success. And see, there's something by Sun Tzu that's not necessarily always for war, even though the Art of War was the text that he's famous for and been read by most of us in the military and study military arts throughout history. But this quote transcends war and the success on the battlefield and could be in life. The leader cultivates the moral law. We want to have morals and strictly adheres to method and discipline. Discipline is something you'll see on my Your Warrior's Edge page a lot because discipline is so important to a warrior and to live with the warrior's edge. And Sun Tzu, centuries ago, talking about discipline creates the power to control success. And that can be on the battlefield. It could be in the boardroom. It could be with anything that you're trying to succeed at. The discipline and adhering to the method to get there is going to help you control your own success. So thank you, Dixon, for making me read a Sun Tzu quote, because that's a really good one. And I think there's an important message there for everybody. Want to read one more or maybe two because they're from my favorite World War II general, one of my favorite military leaders, and that would be General Patton. Lead me, follow me, or get out of my way. I like Patton because of his directness. Leading from the front, and let's get things done. Another quote by General Patton. I am a soldier. I fight where I am told, and I win where I fight. And that's having that positive mindset. Patton never thought as a defeatist. You told him to do something, he would tell you, I'll get it done. Now, does that mean he won everything he did? No. But he always had the winning mindset and gave it his all. And he won more than he lost. And that's why the Germans feared him. He was probably one of the only commanders that we had on our side that could take on Rommel and succeed there. And the Germans were afraid of him because they knew he would do things that nobody else would do. And he pulled out the best of his soldiers. Unfortunately, at times he got himself into trouble with his directness and hard-charging attitude. But Eisenhower was the right person to use him and lead him to help us win World War II. So I like that attitude. I win where I fight. And I'll do one more of Patton just because I like Patton, and it's here on the page, and then we're going to end today. War is very simple, direct, and ruthless. It takes a simple, direct, and ruthless man to wage war. And that's true on the battlefield. It's true for self-defense. When I'm teaching active shooter response classes or self-defense programs where we're focusing just on self-defense and not the complete art of Hapkido and the things that go with martial arts, the ruthlessness, simplicity are keys. Teaching very simple techniques and things that people can do and teaching them to be direct and ruthless with those. And that's how they can succeed in defending themselves and stopping an attacker, whether that attacker has empty hands, a knife, or even a firearm. We teach simple things with direct and ruthless and savage application. And that is the key to winning a small altercation against an attacker, just as it is the key to win on the battlefield, as Patton said in that quote. Simple, direct, and ruthless. That was just a little bit of warrior wisdom from Sammy Franco's book. I read some warrior wisdom out of a different book by a friend of mine, Clint, last time I did this. I'll probably do it again. I like doing these warrior wisdom Wednesdays. Hope that you enjoy them too. Hope it gives you something to think about, maybe apply to your training, apply to your life. You want a little bit more to apply to your life? Make sure you sign up to the Enjoy Life Safely newsletter, where I give tips on staying safe, defending yourself, enjoying life, being exceptional, and a little bit of more thrown in once in a while. So sign up at enjoylifesafely.com. Go out, make it a Warrior Wednesday, and we'll see you tomorrow.